Have you ever really thought about your eye color? I mean, beyond just what it looks like. We tend to think of it as just a cosmetic thing, right? But what if I told you it's actually a survival tool? Seriously, what if your eye color tells this incredible story? A story about human history, about migration, and about how we adapted to live all over this planet. So that big question, is your eye color a survival tool? The answer is a resounding yes. It's not even a question. And believe me, it reveals way more about your ancestors than you could ever imagine. Okay, so first things first, let's get a handle on the numbers. Look at this. More than 70% of everyone on Earth has brown eyes. That is a huge majority. And that's not some random fluke of genetics. Nope. It's the original human blueprint. And there's a really, really good reason for it. And that brings us right into our first big idea here, the original blueprint. Yeah, we're talking all about brown eyes and why they're basically humanity's built-in biological shield. So what's the secret ingredient in this biological shield? It all comes down to one thing, a pigment called melanin. Now, you need to think of melanin as more than just color. It's a tool. It's basically a super powerful natural sunscreen that's woven right into your iris. And you can see the difference it makes right here. It's pretty stark. The more melanin you have, the better your UV protection. Simple as that. You're also way less sensitive to glare. For our earliest ancestors evolving in these bright, sun-drenched places, well, having clearer, more comfortable vision wasn't just nice, it was a critical survival advantage. Absolutely crucial. Okay, so you might be thinking, what about black eyes? Well, here's a fun fact for you. True black eyes, they don't actually exist in humans. What we see as black eyes are really just very, very dark brown eyes packed with an extreme amount of melanin. It's so concentrated they just look black, and it gives them the absolute maximum protection you can get. Okay, so if brown eyes were the original, the default setting for all humans, it begs the question, right? Where did all the other colors come from? Well, that leads us to this incredible story of a great mutation. It's the story of a single ancestor who literally changed the face of humanity. Okay, get ready for this, because this is wild. For the vast majority of human history, every single person had brown eyes, period. But then, somewhere around 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, something amazing happened. A single person, living somewhere near the Black Sea, was born with a tiny genetic mutation. This little tweak in their DNA basically flipped a switch and turned off the gene for brown eyes. And here's the part that'll blow your mind. Every single person with blue eyes on this planet today, every single one, can trace their ancestry back to that one person. We're all related. And as if that wasn't crazy enough, here's the biggest plot twist. Blue eyes aren't actually blue. I'm serious, there's no blue pigment in there at all. The color is just a trick of the light, an illusion. It's the same exact reason the sky looks blue. Because there's so little melanin, the structure of the iris scatters light, and it just so happens that the blue wavelengths are what get reflected back at you. It's physics, not pigment. But this creates a huge puzzle for scientists. Think about it. How does a trait from one single person spread so fast and so far? We're talking about going from literally zero blue-eyed people to, in just a few thousand years, making up almost 95% of the population in some parts of Northern Europe. That's insanely fast in evolutionary terms. So the big question is, why? Well, researchers have a couple of big theories. The first one is a survival advantage, just a different kind. In the long, dark winters of the North, having less melanin means your eyes can let more light in. That could have been a real advantage for seeing in low-light conditions. But the second theory, and a lot of people think this is the big one, is something called sexual selection. Basically, the color was so new, so rare, and so striking that it was considered incredibly attractive. This meant blue-eyed people had a better chance of finding a mate and passing that gene on. All right, so we've got brown as the original shield and blue as the game-changing mutation. But what about everything in between? Green, hazel, amber? Well, for those, we need to dive into a way more complex, let's call it a genetic cocktail. And when I say rare, I really, really mean it. Just look at these numbers. Green eyes, only 2% of the entire world population. 2%. Hazel and amber are hovering around 5%, and gray eyes are even rarer than that, clocking in at less than 3%. These are genuinely uncommon.
So, how on earth do you even get green eyes? Think of it like a very, very specific recipe from a genetic cookbook. Okay, step one, you start with a foundation of a blue eye. That means very low melanin. Step two, you add a tiny dash of a yellow pigment called lipochrome. Then step three, you mix it all with the same light scattering trick that makes blue eyes blue. And what do you get? This stunning, incredibly rare color.
And just to give you an idea of how complex this recipe is, get this. Scientists have identified at least 16 different genes that all have to work together in perfect harmony to create green eyes. 16. If you get just a little too much melanin in the mix, they become hazel or brown. A little too little, and they stay blue. It's a genetic tightrope walk. Everything has to be perfectly balanced. And the other rare colors, they each have their own special story. Hazel eyes are kind of like the chameleons of the eye world. They seem to shift color depending on the lighting, which might be an adaptation for places with really variable climates. Then you've got gray eyes, which are like an even more extreme version of blue eyes, with almost no melanin at all, the ultimate low-light adaptation. And those beautiful, solid golden amber eyes, they might have evolved just to be an absolutely unforgettable signal to a potential mate. So we've gone on this incredible journey, right? All the way from the early human cradle in Africa to the icy landscapes of ancient Europe. Now, let's bring it all back. Let's make this personal and talk about the whole human spectrum and the story written in your own eyes. And speaking of unique, what about heterochromia? This is the condition where someone has two different colored eyes, or maybe even multiple colors within one eye. It's super rare, less than 1% of us have it, and it's just this beautiful, stunning reminder of the incredible, almost random genetic variation that makes every single one of us completely unique. So, when you boil it all down, your eye color is so much more than just a physical feature. It's a living, breathing map. It's the story of where your ancestors came from and the journey they took across the planet. Really think about that. When you look at your reflection, you're not just seeing blue or brown or green. You are literally looking at thousands upon thousands of years of survival, of adaptation. You're seeing the result of an incredible genetic lottery that had to go just right to make you. So, the next time you look in the mirror, take an extra second, really look, and ask yourself, what story do my eyes tell?